get out of town.
Yeah.
Right.
Travel, enjoy life a little.
Yeah, I haven't traveled in a long time. You know, the last time I went to Vegas was to see Chuck Liddell fight Randy Couture in their second match.
Hey, just a quick note before
believe,
this really gets going.
Chuck won.
This stream is actually available over on BlackSheep show. It's Crypto
That was actually
BlackSheep on YouTube, which is Crypto 8LACK5HEEP. But yeah, it's Crypto BlackSheep Crypto. This is available over there. I'm gonna restream it here just so you know, if our subscribers don't necessarily cross, that you'll be able to listen. You know, he'll get exposure either way. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw the link in the chat, and I'll try to do that regularly throughout. I'd rather you guys go watch it on his channel. He's got video up and everything. I'm not gonna like restream their stream. That seems somehow disrespectful. But I will go ahead and leave the audio live. I'm going to turn it back on now. You can watch it in either place, but I recommend going ahead over to their link. And I'll try not to add too much commentary, but it does feel more genuine if I do hop in and add some here and there, only because this is not my stream that I'm sharing here. And it's not just a Telegram chat. They actually have a YouTube channel. So I'm going to switch that audio back on, but I will also post the link for you to follow on their channel.
Until I finished high school, essentially. So I've loved fighting, and I've loved watching fighting. I've watched maybe every single UFC event except for, you know, maybe a dozen or so. Because I watched them. I used to watch them live all the time. And then there was
you can watch it in either place, but
in my life where I moved in with my grandfather, and I didn't have much to do, so I went and rewatched all the old UFC cards. Like, that's what I spent all day doing. So I've seen basically every UFC event.
Yeah.
And how I got into Bitcoin was some local guys in my area were running a sports book back, you know, before. Basically, this was in the days when online sportsbook were a thing, but a lot of them were being operated by local organizations, essentially, where they would handle the betting through the website to make it convenient. But then when it was time to get paid or pay up, you would have some dude show up at your house, basically, to handle it like that. And they wanted to get payment processing so they could start, you know, doing it more legit. And they got, you know, credit card and all that payment processor. That ended up getting shut down, and they wanted to move towards a different model. And I was just learning about Bitcoin at the time, so I helped them get started in Bitcoin. This is back in like 2012. That's, you know, so even, you know, sports and fighting, because that's the whole reason why I knew these guys through sports betting and betting on fights, was through fighting, right? That's how I got my introduction to Bitcoin and really realized the value of Bitcoin, because I saw these guys were, you know, working in kind of a you know, outside the norm of business, right? You can't really, in those days, getting payment processors for running a sports book wasn't something easy to do, especially if you were based in the U.S. And I recognized Bitcoin could be used for this, and it really just showed me the value of Bitcoin, because I realized these guys can run their sports book and no one can shut them down, really.
Yeah.
And then I helped them get set up with that. We used some like third-party service, which was called like My E-Wallet or something like that. And their service was like a centralized service where they hold the wallets and all of that. And this is back in 2012, so we didn't know, you know, we didn't know about security. We didn't know your keys, you know, not your keys, not your crypto, all that stuff. So yeah, the sports book ended up getting robbed by the payment processor, the My E-Wallet people, right? Once we set it up for them, and then I didn't pay attention to it for like 4 months or whatever, like until later the next year, and then I find out Bitcoin. I saw in the news, CNBC or something, that Bitcoin was over $100, and I was like, oh shit, Bitcoin's over $100. I bought like $500 worth at $14. Let me go see what's up. And I went looked, and that My E-Wallet site was just gone. They just, you know, once, because they were holding everybody's coins. And then it was a good thing though. Like obviously it would have been nice to hold all that Bitcoin from $14 all the way up to 65K or whatever. But if I'm gonna learn that lesson, it's better to learn that lesson, buying Bitcoin at $4 and learning that lesson in 2012 than, after you're a millionaire or something.
Yeah, lose a lot more. Nice. Hey, did you ever see the show when we had Ken Shamrock on it?
I did. Yeah, I commented on it. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken's. I mean, he's a legend in the sport for sure. It's funny. Cool. I grew up in the Boston area, and I was doing Taekwondo, and Taekwondo was illegal in Boston. Any kind of contact fighting, except for boxing, was illegal in Boston. Yeah, they considered it full contact fighting, even though Taekwondo isn't full contact fighting. But that's what they use to try to stop people from doing tournaments and stuff. So we would go to Rhode Island and Connecticut to do tournaments, and at the time, Joe Rogan was the national and international Taekwondo champion, and he was based out of Boston, and he would go to these same tournaments in Rhode Island and Connecticut. And when I was very young, I was like maybe 5 years old or something, and he was in his 20s or probably late 20s, I guess, at the time when he was a national champion. So there is a possibility that I fought in some of the same Taekwondo tournaments as Joe Rogan back in the day.
Crazy.
And I know for a fact my sensei fought against him, and Rogan has even brought up my sensei during one of his live stream shows. So
wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, because my sensei was the national champion at the time when he had his little downfall and stuff. But he was a really good guy too. He owns a pizza shop now, and I guess he's not allowed to. Actually, I don't know. I was gonna say I don't know if he's allowed to have a school, but he got acquitted, so I'm sure he would be. But anyways, he's a successful businessman now, so he's doing well.
Yeah, I did Taekwondo when I was a kid too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. It's a great sport. It's a great sport for kids. Build up their confidence. Teach them a little bit about fighting.
It was popular there for a while, right? When MMA started getting big, I think more Taekwondo studios, because it went from like karate, everyone was doing karate, and then Taekwondo was like, oh, it's a little different,
Yeah, it's a little more practical, but they're it's lacking on hands, like boxing, like. And that's why that's why I decided to go into boxing when I was like 12, because I've been doing Taekwondo for a long time.
So you learned the feet there,
Yeah, and my sensei didn't give black belts to kids essentially. So so I was a red belt, which is right under a black belt, and I never got a black belt because he just wouldn't. He had his kind of a principled stance where he wouldn't give black belts to kids. Probably because it's some responsibility to have a black belt. Like whether people think it's, whatever people think about it, there is some responsibility there, and you have to represent yourself in a specific kind of way and represent the school and everything. So he just wouldn't give them to kids. But
hey, Forex, can I ask you a technical question real quick?
Yeah,
please. I'll leave you alone. Hey, I saw somebody put something on the channel yesterday. I don't know who it was. That if we get back into reservoir, we'll increase the price of DRIP. Is that true?
Yeah, 100%. So
I put 0.2 BNB in there yesterday, and I haven't seen anything. So does it take a while for me to start earning bids?
You're gonna need to put more than that, Mike. I
know.
Mike, listen.
You were saying if everybody put money back into reservoir that's in DRIP, we will raise the price.
Yeah, so let me just explain how the reservoir works real quick, okay? Because I think it's important. So when someone deposits into the reservoir, you're depositing BNB. Half of the BNB that you deposit then gets used on the contract to buy DRIP from the native DEX. It then takes half the BNB and half the DRIP, or at this point all the BNB and all the DRIP, and pairs it in the liquidity pool, right? The native DEX liquidity pool. And now when you're in the reservoir, you get 1% of every swap that takes place paid out to you, meaning your share. So if you own 10% of the reservoir, when someone does a swap, there's a 1% liquidity provider fee on that swap, and you'll get 10% of that fee. That fee is paid out to you, or rewards in general in the reservoir are paid out to you in BNB. So when you deposit BNB into the reservoir, half that BNB is used to buy DRIP, and then there's a tax scheme in the reservoir where 2% of the so there's a 10% tax when you deposit BNB. 2% of that is permanently locked in the liquidity pool. This creates a higher price floor for DRIP, a deeper liquidity pool for DRIP, and helps to create price stability. Right. There's another 3% which gets immediately distributed to people that are already in the reservoir, and the rest of the 10% goes into a vault that pays out its a percentage of its balance every day. Now, this 1% that's taken out of each swap goes into this vault, and what this means is it's a form of time-weighted liquidity provider fees. So, unlike other protocols where you are a liquidity provider, say on PancakeSwap, you provide liquidity. Now there's a 3% fee on each transaction, and the percentage that you get paid of this 3% is dependent on the size of the liquidity pool that you make up. But it's a flat 3% fee, and that's distributed with no weighting, just a flat rate every time. With the reservoir, there's a time weighting element to it. So the longer you're a liquidity provider in the reservoir, the greater a share of this 1% swapping fee that you'll get every time. And this reward is allocated to you in drops, right? Drops are the LP tokens on the DEX. And then when you go to withdraw from the reservoir, it's going to take those drops, it's going to unpair them, giving you DRIP and BNB, and then it's going to sell those DRIP to get all BNB and then pay you out in BNB. So it's a system where you deposit BNB and you get rewards in BNB, but due to the tax system, it's always leaving some of that BNB in the liquidity pool no matter what. So when you deposit, you're helping the price, you're helping provide liquidity and stability, and then even when you withdraw, yes, it's going to cause some sell pressure on the price, but due to the tax structure, you're always leaving something in there, right? And at the end of the day, if everybody was to sell and everybody was to go out of the reservoir, there would still be a significant amount of capital in there that's locked in there forever, and that's how you have a price floor, right? And an ever increasing price floor. The more capital that goes in there, the more BNB, when all is said and done, if everybody was to remove it, gets left in there due to the tax structure, and this means a higher price floor every time. So there's a practical floor price to DRIP that a DRIP could not go under, and it's due to this these locking mechanics that are locking BNB in there.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Hex Crystal Meth, thank you for the super chat. I don't know if Sheep saw it. He's driving.
Yeah. So he said. Yeah. So he said DRIP was his third biggest win, and congratulations for that, man. That's really big, and I'm so happy to see everybody's doing well in DRIP and has done well in DRIP. You know, I can say that I'm more positive about DRIP than I ever have been, and the reason for that is because the first year is the hardest year. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of our mechanics that we have that are built in to create stability, such as the max payout, don't even start kicking in until the end of the first year. You know, the max payout pays 365%, 1% a day, up to 365 days. And what this means is no one's going to hit that max payout until we get past the year. So the someone's calling me. Let me just hang up on him real quick. So the sustainability mechanisms that we put in place, some of them have been working, right? Like the tax structure and all this, but some of them have not even come into play yet because we haven't hit that first year mark. And there are a significant amount of people that bought in at the pre-sale and bought in at launch. They staked, and that's it. And at once a week, once every few weeks. Some of them are even running bots to sell every day. They're just selling and they're just draining. But those people, once we hit the 22nd of this month, that's our 1 year anniversary. At that point, every single day, more people will be hitting their max payout. And the bullish thing about that is, for example, our max per person allocation for drip for the private sale was something like $40,000, and there was a significant amount of people that went in max there. So when you have, you know, when you put in $40,000, the project does 10x or 20x or whatever. That's a ton of money, and some portion of those people bought in pre-sale, bought at launch, staked, and have just been taking profit every day. And on the 22nd, they will no longer be able to do that. And every day after that, there'll be another group of people that were early buyers, all of them whales, because if you're an early buyer in drip, you're a whale. And they'll all be hitting their max payout. And that's really when the sustainability and the true functionality of the project gets to shine. So between that and the new UI that we finished, that we want to get out by next month, the new team implementation. So instead of right now with the team airdrops, the way that works is you utilize the front end to put in your address or whoever's address you want, and then some filters. And then these filters will give you a list of addresses that meet whatever restrictions you put in there that you want to filter out. Maybe it's everybody with more than 2 direct referrals or whatever the case is. Gives you a list of addresses, and then the front end calls your wallet, and you have to approve every time you send out an airdrop to someone. And it's kind of a hassle. It's kind of a pain in the ass, and it's not very efficient. So what we've done, and this will be implemented in the UI, is instead of having the front end handle all of it, we're utilizing a contract to handle it. This way, it's a combination of the front end and the contract, but currently it's just the front end doing it. And utilizing this contract allows for it to be way more smooth, because what happens is the front end gets that list of users that meet your filters, meet your criteria. You then just you know, confirm it once. It then adds all of those addresses and the amount you want to distribute to a contract, and then in one transaction does the distribution. So it's a matter of like 3 or 4 clicks, and you do your whole airdrop instead of having to approve everybody every single time. And yeah, I know BlackSheep will like that. I know a lot of owners will like that, because it's a hassle right now. But
yeah, because we airdrop, I believe, currently we have about 133, 135 people that we do, you know, and he does it on the live stream, like boom, boom. It takes him about an hour to go through and do it all.
Yeah, so that's going to be way, way smoother. And so that there's a few things that we can implement in the new UI for Drip. The new airdropping system, which is way more efficient. Team competitions, which is something I've wanted to do since day one, but it requires its own front end and its own dashboard. And there's a few things that I wanted to do all at once, and I've always wanted to do a new UI for Drip. You know, people that know the history of Drip know why we used the UI we used, because it was a proven functional dashboard that a couple projects have used, and you know, we knew it would work, so we used it. But I knew it could be better, so I've always wanted to do a new UI, and to do, like, say, these team competitions, or to improve the team airdrop system, it requires a new UI. So you know, instead of fixing one little thing here and there, I would rather push the new UI with all of these fixes and get it all done at once. And I'm not even going to say fixes, because nothing's broken. It's just improvements.
Yeah.
So
Everything can always be improved, no matter how good it is, right? I mean,
yeah.
And then you got a question. Hey, Forex, what are your thoughts on Wannabe Wells 422 Drip community event?
Okay, well, I don't know anything about that event, but if anybody is having any event celebrating Drip and celebrating the anniversary of Drip, you know, great. I think that's an awesome thing. The reason why I've been kind of tapped out of the community for the past, say, month is because I've been hyper focused on the piggy bank and doing what we need to do to get this migration out without any capital loss and get the ball rolling, in the best way possible with that. And the majority of time hasn't been me actually doing development. It's been me making internal changes to my team to just really make everything sharper. We hired another dev just to do quality control, and really just making adjustments how we set deadlines and all of this, right? Making internal changes more than development. But there was a significant amount of development that we had to do as well. So I just been hyper focused on that. So there are a few things that were on the table with drip that I put on the sideline so I could hyper focus on that, which are right back on the table. And for example, one of those is a fiat on ramp. So I had applied to a service that does fiat on ramps for DeFi, and they're servicing several companies that are smaller than us, and don't have as much to provide as we have. And I had filed some applications with these companies, and as soon as we get launched, as soon as Piggy Bank gets launched on Thursday, then I can stop hyper focusing on that and then go to just promoting and marketing drip, promoting and marketing Animal Farm, and starting to pick up some of these things that were on the sidelines that I haven't been able to give attention to. So as far as that specific event, uh, due to the fact that I've been hyper focusing on Piggy Bank, I was not aware of that event, but I'm of course extremely supportive to anybody that has these kind of events, and I wanted to plan something myself for the anniversary of Drip because there's a few things that I know we can do that would be cool and that people would like. So so I'm gonna have to look into what they're doing. I'm gonna have to look into what other people are doing, and I'll be making some kind of announcement about something we can do as well to celebrate it. So it is on my mind. It's just that we're 3 days away from something major that I'm just like my full focus is on.
Well, like I know, like I got into it the first day. I got into it late though, in the day after they'd already built the chain and stuff. But like what if for over a year now we've been talking with you like this, and there's not many devs that we talk to for a year, and then in a year when we're talking to them, we're talking about the same thing,
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So I was just I agree, and I appreciate that you noticed that. And I could say that we're having a raise coming up in the Reap DAO, and the Reap token is like 2 years old, maybe older than 2 years. I don't know. It's the original deflationary reflective reward token. So there's all of these meme tokens that are out there that like what is it called? Moon, Safe Moon, and these various projects that are essentially derivative um derivative forks of REAP, which was the original deflationary reflective reward token. And to this day, we're still creating value for it and still creating demand to buy the token through our DAO mechanism. So that should give people some confidence, and some, realization that I don't build these things for some sort of pump and dump or some quick cash grab. I build these to add on to our ecosystem, and I see these as long-term projects that we can continue to evolve and develop. It's my main motivation for building Drip was that I saw there were a lot of people um, getting into these projects which were advertising daily ROIs, right? Specifically on the Tron network, and these projects were lasting like less than a week. Like you're lucky if they lasted 48 hours. Like these projects, earn 20% ROI a day, or even the ones that were saying they were paying back 1%. They just were not lasting due to a lot of insider manipulation, a lot of scamming, a lot of things were going on. So I saw there was a huge demand for this, but over and over again, people were getting into these projects and getting scammed. So I saw it as an opportunity to fill this market fit, in a way that would be sustainable and would, do the best for our investors. But I also looked at it as a major promotional tool and just a awesome vehicle that I could use to build our investor base and build our following due to the team protocol, right, and the referral system. So from day one, my plan was we're going to build DRIP. We're going to use DRIP as a vehicle to create a huge investor base, and then we're going to start providing utility to DRIP, and we're going to use it as a vehicle to bring really, products that have real fundamental value to the ecosystem. And when I say fundamental value, what my main focus as far as providing value to DeFi is lending, insurance, gaming, and privacy. Right? These are the things that I feel uh, that I feel DeFi can really revolutionize finance through these four avenues. And this is really where I want to focus. And the plan all along was to use Drip as a type of promotional vehicle to build up a huge investor base, and then essentially sell these utilities to the investor base using our existing platforms such as Drip and Animal Farm. And my plan from here on is to not build any more tokens. Right? We have the tokens. No more tokens. No need for tokens. My plan is to build contracts and platforms that provide utility for these tokens and potentially utility for the core assets on the chain, such as BNB, BUSD. Because when you provide true utility for those, it in turn creates more value for the all of the assets on it, including our native assets. So
Hey, Forex, one more question. On that 20, on that, when you, the 48 hours, when you open back up, you get a bonus. Can you explain that one more time?
yeah, sure. So let me just explain the whole thing, right? So when we're doing this migration process, what we're doing is we're looking at the amount of LP tokens that every user deposited. We're looking at it in the order that they deposited, and we're looking at the amount of LP that they withdrew from the system. So we're not using any kind of arbitrary picking and choosing about who gets blacklisted, who doesn't get blacklisted, etc. And we don't need to do that because when we implement a model that accounts for the amount of LPs that were deposited minus the LPs that were withdrawn, that excludes the botters, and it only excludes the people that were attempting to exploit and drain the system. Right. So this is how we're doing it, and essentially we are Garden and with Piggy Bank, we came up with an innovative way to do the initial pricing for the assets when you initially deposit onto the platform. The way that, for example, BNB Miner or Shrimp Farmer or any of these projects were doing it was by having the developer or some insider deposit the first BNB into the contract. When they deposit that first BNB into the contract, regardless of how much BNB they deposit or BUSD or whatever the asset they're depositing, regardless of how much they deposit, they always get 50% of the piglets if it was animal piggy bank, or miners if it's BNB miner. They always get 50% of the miners in BNB miner, for example. Now, and then the amount of BNB that they deposited uh, is what sets the price that the next user that buys has to pay on it. And then, depending on how much they deposit, there's some price impact, and a regular DEX type of mechanism is used to determine the pricing. Now, what we did to remove this element of centralization to our model and make it way more trustless and fair, instead of having the developer be the person that sends the initial capital to the contract to set pricing, because when you do it like that, the developer gets 50% of the asset starting out. And when you have a project where it's one asset that determines your ROI in the system, and one user starts off with 50% of the assets. It only takes a couple weeks of compounding before they hold 90+% of the tokens, and they can use it to drain the system. That's what happened with all of these other miner projects. That's why none of them last. We came up with a mechanism that allows us to trick the contract into thinking we made a deposit, and then I'm how do you say antroma when you give human characteristics to an inanimate object.
Animatronic
Uh,
or inanimate object.
yeah, it's I'm not. I can. I was think of the word in my head, but I'm not saying it right.
Anthropomorphic.
Yeah. Anthropomorphizing, I guess, the contract. I'm kind of doing that when I say we're tricking the contract. Of course, we're not tricking the contract. The contract cannot be tricked. It's not some, it doesn't have expectations. But anyways, just to make it simple, we're kind of tricking the contract into thinking we made an initial deposit, and this sets the price based on, this sets the price based on what we trick it into thinking we deposit, and then the initial person that does the real deposit now pays this price for the first tokens, and what this means is there's no insider that is getting 50% of the assets initially, right? So we do this by choosing what we call a seed amount, and the seed amount is essentially what the contract was tricked into thinking the starting liquidity was, and this sets the price for the asset, the starting price for the asset, and then as people buy and sell after that, it adjusts the price based on this initial starting price, which was decided by the seed amount that we're tricking the contract into thinking. Now, because we have the ability to do this, what we can do is adjust this seed amount in the first 48 hours, effectively allowing the users that get in the first 48 hours to get a 20% better price, right, in a vacuum relative to people that would be buying after the 48 hours. So and when I say that, of course, you have to account for price impact and all of these things, but effectively, it's the same as having a 20% less BNB in the liquidity pool, for example. So if you start off buying an asset with 20% less BNB in the contract, you're going to get 20% more tokens for the BNB that you deposit into that contract. And it will be like that until it's readjusted. And so we can readjust it back up 20%. And now everybody that buys after it's been readjusted is now paying a 20% higher price. So the way that we're doing the distribution is by taking a starting seed amount, which is significantly higher than we did in the initial launch. And what this means is the distribution of the tokens that people get will be fairer because the initial buyers will cause less price impact, which means a better price for people that got in later. And when you account for the fact that it was one initial botter that put in a ton of money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars initially, and they got the truffles and piglets at this extremely low rate, and then we're able to compound it for a few days and drain. He then drained LP from the system. Now, he wasn't able to drain a lot of LP from the system, and this is because you can only earn at most 3% a day, and we put safe checks in place to ensure that if someone was to get 5 times what they deposited, they wouldn't be able to withdraw any more than that. So we put the safety protocols in place to ensure that the capital wouldn't be allowed to drain, but of course, he was able to drain more than the majority of people because he sniped it at first. So when we choose what the new distribution will be, we've taken the amount of LP that an individual wallet deposited minus what they withdrew, and this is what they'll be credited with in the new system. And since the botter sniped and then withdrew LPs from the system, he will have nothing to be credited when we do the new distribution. And it's going to be extremely bullish because those people who got into the protocol only to attempt to drain it will have either significantly less in the new system or have nothing in the new system. The only user that will have nothing in the new system is the botter. But because this botter, his capital, his piglets and truffles are being redistributed to all the other users, and we're starting off with a higher seed amount, it effectively means that every single user in the system will have more value. So there's the initial few buyers who bought that bought after the botter, given the new distribution model with the higher seed amount, they would have got distributed slightly less than what they got initially, and the other 97% of users would get slightly more than what they got before. But since we are distributing the botters piglets on top of this, it raises everyone up above the level where they would be getting more or less. So essentially, all users that were in Piggy Bank before we paused it are going to walk away with or are going to have more value when we unpause, minus the botter, and then we're giving a 20% bonus for anybody that deposits new capital in the first 48 hours, and it's effectively like the initial people that bought in got into a pre-sale with vesting in it because they have a stake in the protocol, but they only have access to cashing out this stake at a rate of a max 3% a day. So it's kind of like a form of vesting. And when we do the new distribution, everybody will be credited in piglets, not truffles. Everybody's truffle amount will be set to 0 because you'll be getting all piglets for that. So when someone deposits into the new piggy bank project, and when we unpause, there will be no one with some big amount of truffles that they can then withdraw and dump on the system. Right? There's no one that will be in the position to withdraw and dump from the system when we unpause. There will only be existing users with piglets who got a fair distribution of piglets, and then anybody who buys in when we go live, you're essentially buying at the ground floor with a 20% bonus and with a starting liquidity that's significantly higher to ensure that even if someone was to snipe, it's not going to make a big impact on the price. So someone could even deposit $500,000 like on the initial deposit, but because we have millions of dollars worth of liquidity already, it's only going to bump up the price, 10-15%. So that's good. We hope someone does that. That's just another whale in the system. So we're coming into this on Thursday in a very, very good spot. We're coming into this, functionally as if we had a pre-sale utilizing a type of bonding curve mechanism where people who got into the pre-sale earlier got a slightly better rate than people that got in later, and then now we go live where everyone is essentially starting at the ground floor, where people who got in early, at the initial launch, got a slightly better rate than people that got in later. But when we unpause, everybody's starting at the ground floor, meaning there's no accumulated truffles there, so no one can just withdraw. And this, on top of the 20% bonus, makes it extremely attractive for new capital to come in. And I believe that we're going to kick this off in a much more bullish environment than we even had kicking off the initial one, just due to the way that the tokens are distributed. And essentially, it's functionally the same as if the first 3 days before we paused were a type of bonding curve pre-sale. And now people who got in, now they have a stake in the protocol. with this kind of bonding curve distribution. And now people that get in on day one we unpause get a bonus, and they're getting it at the ground floor, which is beneficial to everybody that's existing in the system. Because of course, if you have a stake in the system, you want it to get off with a bang, and you want people depositing into it, excited about it. So it's exciting. Now, I think that answered your question about how we'll do the 20% bonus. It's as simple as adjusting the starting seed amount by 20%. That allows us to give a 20% bonus in the first 48 hours. And that also allows us to remove the ability to adjust that after the 48 hours. So then there's no ability for us to adjust pricing after those 48 hours.
Yeah. Thank you. That was a really good explanation.
No problem. I appreciate the question. Now, let me just speak on pigs tokens, right? And I can speak on dogs as well. But I see more question about pigs. And uh, is there going to be um, some event where it unpauses, and now there's a rush for people to claim and people to take profit where they can, or some panic selling situation or something going on? And the answer to this is no, because the way that we're doing the crediting of the pig tokens is by crediting the holders in the contracts where those tokens were when we paused the contract. So if you had your pig BUSD LP tokens in the piggy bank when we paused it, in order to get credited in V2, you would have had to claim what you can claim as far as the LPs out of piggy bank and send them to the credit contract. But when we go live on Thursday, the LPs that you get credited with will be in the piggy bank contract if that's where they were before. And the reality is that 82% of all pig tokens are locked in the piggy bank liquidity pool, right? Another 15%, give or take a percent or two, are in the pig pen contract, which also has a time locking element. So this means that there's only 3 or 4% of pig tokens that will even be in circulation when we unpause, that would even be able to affect the market. Then on top of this, there were some people who didn't send the pig tokens into the credit contract. So that's going to remove some very small amount of pigs from circulation that otherwise would be able to affect the market. And then, due to the opportunity that we're giving people to both get into the pig pen and the piggy bank at launch and get that bonus, and even on the pig pen, there's going to be a bit of a bonus payout, right? An immediate bonus payout if you get into the pig pen. This incentivizes the 3 or 4% pigs that will be in circulation to get in one of our contracts with it, to get more benefit rather than selling it or whatever. It will act as a type of vacuum or magnet to just suck up those little piggies that are not in contracts already. So when I say the pig pen will have some immediate benefit, what I'm referring to there is this whole time there's been capital on the animal farm earning yield in the form of cake through our back-end collateral hypothecation. This has earned millions of dollars between what we had earned before that I haven't implemented it into back into the system yet, either through buybacks or pig pen injections, and what we've earned while this has been paused, millions of dollars, right? Worth of capital in the form of cake and BUSD. We're going to take the vast majority of this capital and inject it into the pig pen. So this is going to be millions of dollars injected into the pig pen very shortly after the unpausing. And the reason why I prefer to inject it into the pig pen rather than just a buyback is because we have such a deep liquidity pool, right? We have like $30+ million worth of liquidity. You do $100,000 buyback, and you move the price, what, like 0.3% or whatever, 3%, 1%, whatever the case. Not even 3%. No, it's a fraction of a percent. So you do this large buyback and you move the price a fraction of a percent, there really isn't, and the little bit that you do move it just gives an opportunity for someone that's holding just to sell the buyback and sell the buyback. Whereas you inject it into the pig pen, you get way more value for it because now this is capital that is incentivizing people to take pigs that they otherwise would sell and lock it up into the pig pen and then pays out those BUSD rewards in a controlled fashion. So it's a more effective way to use that capital. It has more of a positive impact on the price of pigs, and you're still effectively paying out the BUSD rewards. So there'll be an immediate type of payout in the pig pen, plus just a major increase in the capital in the pig pen to pay out, which will incentivize people to take their pigs and put it in there. On top of this, the amount of BUSD that is being sent to the pig pen is based on two factors: the deposit fees on Animal Farm and the tax associated with the dog token. We have the tax associated with the dog token turned all the way down, uh, which means, and there's a range, right? For security reasons and for decentralization reasons, we put a cap on the max tax you can put on it, because people that have been around long enough know that devs have used a high tax to exploit a system, right? You put the tax up to 100 and then you do one trade and use it to do whatever, trade something or do whatever. So we put the cap on the dog token at 10%. Right now, it's only at 6%, and that 6% is only applied on certain transactions. We can apply it on all transactions and increase it to 10%, which is going to effectively more than double the amount of BUSD being sent to the pig pen. So there are multiple mechanisms that we can put in place when we unpause to get a ton more BUSD capital going to the pig pen. And the reason why we didn't do that at first is because the pig pen is about earning yield in the form of BUSD as a owner of the protocol, and being a long-term player in the system. So we didn't want to just make these millions of dollars immediately available in the first month for whoever got into the pre-sale, whoever got it launched, to just remove that capital and move on with their day, right? This is something that we want to pay out over the next couple of years. So this is why we haven't put all of this to work immediately, but it leaves us with a lot of room and a lot of flexibility to really turn up the dial on the amount of BUSD going to the pig pen, which is just another mechanism that allows for the price of pigs to perform. Uh, we also have the developer fee on the piggy bank, which is just like the dev fee on Drip Garden, where the fee was put there because we needed to have a mechanism that made it so the fee that you pay through self-referring is greater than the referral bonus you would get. And to do that, we needed some sort of fee, right? But I never want to take a fee on our native asset because I don't sell our native assets to make a profit on any of my tokens. Ever from 2 years ago when I launched a REAP token, I never have sold any of these tokens. So taking a dev fee in tokens is never something that I've ever wanted to do because uh, the higher the fee, the more reputational hit you take, essentially. And I don't want to be taking a higher fee in a token that I'm never even going to sell anyways, right? It's taking a reputational hit for no reason at all. So this is why I never take a fee in our native tokens, but we needed some sort of fee mechanism in Piggy Bank and Drip Garden to ensure that it was not that the fee associated was higher than any kind of referral bonus you get. But the pigs that we get from the fee and the drip that we get from the free fee is not going to my wallet for me to sell or anything. The pigs has been accumulating so we can utilize it for the first thought was the lottery. What's looking more likely is just we're going to send it to a burn address because we kind of took a pivot on the lottery protocol that we're using, and I think it's an awesome pivot. I think it's way better than the initial idea. But it involves BNB payouts and BUSD payouts, but it still gives a use case and utility to the pigs token. But we just don't have a real need for those pigs that we've accumulated. So we'll be sending those to a burn address most likely, and then the drip that we accumulate from the drip garden has gone 100% of it's gone to the vault, and anybody can do the chain analysis to see that. Now, the lottery model is something I'm extremely excited about, and I can talk about that, or I've been talking for a while. So if you guys have questions.
Okay, one other thing. I just, and then I'm not going to ask any more questions because this was the third thing I needed. On the drip garden, is it still a good thing to keep planting? Because I notice I've been planting every day and the price of the plants is dropping. Is that because drip's dropping?
The price of plants is not dropping. So people don't understand the so people are trying to give a price to plants, for example, or a price to piglets without actually understanding how the system works. The price for piglets and the price for plants are a constant, which means it always takes the same amount of truffles and it always takes the same amount of seeds to buy a total plant or buy a total piglet. So the price of plants is a constant, it never changes. Now, what does change is the price of truffles and the price of seeds, and this adjusts on purpose as a way to do a value transfer from those who are compounding to those who are draining the system. Now, the way this works is the amount of seeds in circulation and the amount of truffles in circulation is always increasing. And this is one of the mechanisms where, if you are compounding daily, or at least compounding above the average user in the system, then you are staying ahead of this inflation rate, and this inflation is actually benefiting you. And it's what allows you to stay at around 3% ROI. And if you compound daily, you're going to be making a 3% ROI in truffles or in seeds every day. Now, if you stop compounding, then what happens is you start getting diluted, and the percentage ROI that you get every day starts to reduce day by day by day to the point where it starts at 3%. But if you go over a month without compounding, the ROI that you're making on a daily basis is almost nothing. And this is where the value transfer from people that are active and people that are compounding are benefiting from the people that are just draining the system, because you drain the system and don't compound. Eventually, you're not able to earn anything in the system. So what determines the price of seeds, or what determines the price of truffles, is the contract balance. Now, well, two things: the contract balance, and since the contract balance is LPs, the price of the asset, either it's pigs or drip, right? So, we've seen that, unlike all these other protocols that have had some sort of game, like a BNB miner, or drip no, I should say drip shrimp farmer, BNB miner, etc. Oh, I kind of lost my place, but okay, never mind. I got it back. So we see with these other protocols, once their contract balance hits an all-time high and then starts to reduce, that's over. It's done with. It gets drained, and that's partially because they don't have the sustainability mechanisms that we put in place. But it also doesn't have. It's also highly centralized with the stuff I talked about at first, where the developer gets 50% of the starting supply and all this, allowing them to drain the system. And they do that as soon as they see the first correction. They drain it. That's it. It's over with. Drip Garden has proven that our contract balance can hit all-time high. We can have a price correction or a contract balance correction, and then come back and get a new contract balance all-time high, and even weeks or months later. And we've done that, and we've had multiple cycles in the drip garden where we've hit contract balance all-time highs. There's been corrections in contract balance. We broke new all-time highs, and it's proven to be sustainable, unlike these other protocols where just they drain once they have their first correction. Now, as far as the price, right? So there's two things that determine the price of seeds and truffles. That's the amount of contract, the size of the contract balance, and the price of the underlying asset, drip or pigs. Now, since it's paying out an ROI based on your deposit through this type of high risk mechanism, it becomes a leverage type mechanism where if you have price performance in drip, positive price performance in drip, this is then leveraged in the drip garden, and you see that benefit to a greater degree. And now, if you have a price correction in drip, that is then leveraged, and you see that correction to a greater degree. So, when we have a positive move in drip, it does make sense to want to have some exposure to the drip garden because it's going to essentially leverage your position in drip. Now, I've said from day one, this is a high risk protocol. You need to treat it as a high risk protocol, just like any other kind of leverage type position. And you don't want to have more than whatever 10%, 15% of your holdings in there. Uh, but for sure, it still makes sense to want to be active in the contract if you feel like drip is still going to perform in the future. And I think right now we are in a great time for drip, right? With the fact that we're coming up on the 1 year mark where these early whales are going to start hitting their max payout. We got the new UI update coming up. We have this massive scratch ticket model that's coming up. We have the team partnerships coming up. We have a lot of other development teams that are smaller development teams, but they're building really cool things that are implementing drip. We have the Atlantis project, which is now starting to secure some really quality NFT deals with celebrities, and we have a few more celebrity NFT deals that were on the table that we put on the sidelines, so I could hyper focus on Piggy Bank that will be coming back into play. We have a lending protocol that I want to build into Drip that is huge, right? I want to build a bridge for Drip. So there's still so much more to do on Drip. Drip has proven itself. As far as I'm concerned, it's the only protocol of its kind to prove itself over time because it's been around the longest for sure, and sustaining. And I'm more positive for the position of Drip and where we're at with Drip right now than I ever have been. I don't let any kind of overall price cycle we're in determine my outlook on Drip because I know markets have cycles. The market itself, like, is way down. It's down like whatever 70%, 80%, 60%, depending on what asset you're looking at, what major asset you're looking at. And the DeFi is always going to have a correction that is slightly higher. But the good thing about DeFi is, yes, the corrections can be slightly more volatile, but the pumps are that much harder, right? So I am more bullish on Drip and the space we're in Drip now that we haven't hit the 1 year mark, but we're close. We're less than a week from the 1 year mark, and with all the things we have on the table, I'm extremely positive on Drip right now. And if you're positive on Drip, it makes sense to have some measured percentage of your holdings in the Drip Garden, right? As you would in a leverage position with Bitcoin, right? So if you're bullish on Bitcoin, you may want to have a leverage position in Bitcoin, but the smart thing to do would maybe have 90% of your holdings in Bitcoin in just a straight spot position, and then maybe 10% of your holdings in a higher leverage position, right? And this is how I feel is the way that I would handle Drip Garden and Drip. One thing that people don't understand about Drip Garden and Piggy Bank is that if you are not compounding after about a month, so the amount the daily ROI that you're making every day is reducing if you're not compounding. And I've seen some people saying, I started off making $1,500 a week in Drip Garden. I'm only making $500 a week now, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, Yeah, because you're not compounding, and the ROI that you're making every day is going down. And if you continue to do that, eventually you'll earn nothing. But if you compound, say, 4 out of 5 times, and then you take some profit on the fifth time or some structure like that, you can continue to earn high yield off of it while allowing the system to be sustainable and allow it to continue to grow and provide utility for everyone. So when I build my protocols, I always build them with the thought that if everybody uh, interacts with it to their own benefit and does the smart play, everybody's gonna walk away winning from it, right? And when people try to, you know, go for short-term profits or try to do some draining or whatever like that, not only are they hurting the overall protocol, they're hurting themselves more than anything because the protocol is strong and the protocol will last and they won't. And it's designed that way. So if everybody was to have a long-term perspective on things and do the smart long-term play, we'll all come up and we'll all win off of it. And there is such thing as having positive positive sum assets where we are providing a value that that allows for the system to grow, and this growth allows for a positive sum return where it's possible for everybody to be earning value from the system, and this value doesn't have to come from any one user. Whereas there's like if you're trading on say a futures exchange or something like that, that's negative sum because for every for every trade that you lose money on, someone else is winning money on. Then the exchange is taking their cut, and then you have the arbitrage bots that's taking their cut, and it ends up being a negative sum game. Whereas with what I'm developing, if everybody has a long term play on it, we can all come up on it and all earn a nice dividend as we continue to grow. So
Hey, Forex, can you see that question that you have on the screen? If not, I can read it to you.
I can see it. Let me read it out loud.
Okay.
Forex, the U.S. government is now warning against state actors attacking protocol, and we have seen some high-profile hacks lately. How are you protecting us against these level of attacks? Okay, so no matter how advanced these attacks are, they can't break the basic rules of logic. So all of these attacks have come and exploited some major logistical flaw, whether it's the Ronin Bridge or other projects that we know that have been exploited lately. It's been a major flaw in the logic of the system that is exploited. And DRIP is using all mechanisms that have proven to be secure and solid mechanisms going back years, right? So um, we used mechanisms in a very innovative, first mover kind of way in DRIP. But if you look at every single individual mechanism that we used, they all have been proven to be not only good for projects and bullish and good game theory, but also secure protocols. So how we plan to move forward, right, is I've talked about some of the changes we've made to my team in the past month just to get our quality up and to ensure that we're doing due diligence like we never have before. But at all times, we've ensured that we've used mechanisms and functionalities that have proven to be secure. We're not calling any kind of single oracle for pricing. Um, Literally, for something like DRIP to fail, it would take the failing of the network as a whole, right? The whole Binance Smart Chain would need to fail for something like DRIP to be exploited, which with all risks, with all investments, there is some risk there, and with DeFi, there's this technical risk, but we're grounded in uh, you know, strong fundamental logic, right? And all of my protocols are. Now, some of the changes we've made recently are I hired an additional dev who is on board strictly to do quality control. His job is to watch over our shoulders at all times. Whenever we come upon a fork in the road where we need to make a decision, his his role is to come up with the decision on his own in a vacuum, separate from us, and then me and my partner BB come up with our own solution for it, and then we discuss our solutions and ensure that we both come upon the same solution and it makes sense. And he's just there to be an independent third party, to be looking over our shoulders, checking all our work, ensuring that we're meeting deadlines, just strictly quality control, right? We've also adjusted the way that I do deadlines. So in the past, I would wait till we're 90% done, and then I would, when we're 90% done, I would then start a deadline, because having a deadline is important for marketing and promoting. Uh, so, uh, for the benefit of marketing and promoting, I would jump the gun a little bit with the deadlines. But what happens is when you're 90% done, often that last 10% is the hard part that you're kind of putting off. And then you get up to your deadline and you end up having to make a tough decision under a time crunch. And this is where mistakes happen. So we've adjusted this to ensure that we're never setting a deadline until 100% of the work is done. And that was the case with Piggy Bank. So the reason why it took, a month and a week or something like that, around a month to do this, even though it was only about a, a couple weeks of very hard work, is we were making a lot of internal changes to really just ensure that we are operating at the state or the standard of a multi-billion-dollar organization, because that's what we are and that's what our investors deserve. So we've made those adjustments, and a few other adjustments that we've made or that we've learned from this piggy bank situation are, uh, of course, everybody knows that we hit a little bump in the road. When we hit the bump in the road, we had security protocols in place, so in case something unexpected did happen, we would be able to protect investor capital at all costs, and we did that. But in the past month or 2 months, month and a half, however long it's been, we spent a lot of time going over, all right, on new contracts and on the new piggyback contract, how can we set up these same security protocols and backups, so if something unexpected happens, we can protect investor capital, but without needing to pause the whole ecosystem, right? So we spent a lot of time going over that, and that's part of what took a while, right? Because we not only came up with a protocol that we could use for this, we also implemented that into the new contracts. Now, on top of this, we looked at how can we do future launches where if it is botted, it will not have a major impact on the rest of investors, because it is essentially impossible to do a launch and prevent botting without highly restricting the average user. And what typically happens is, even if you highly restrict the buying availability, there are still ways that you can deal with that as a high-end, high-skilled user that the average user couldn't do. So you end up just doing way more harm than good. You end up still getting botted, but you prevented a lot of legitimate users from being able to buy what they want. So we came up with a few different models that we can use in the future, where we can do our launch. So even if the launch is botted, we don't have to do any kind of pausing blacklisting. We don't have to pause the ecosystem as a whole at all. And essentially, we just absorb that botter's capital, and it's a benefit to everybody. So we spend a lot of time on that as well, and we have solutions for that. So we've been very good about building secure protocols, and people know that. And we've taken this time to really up our game to a new standard, right? To learn a lesson. And sometimes you need to hit a bump in the road to learn a lesson. And uh, I hope people have a level of appreciation where when something unexpected did happen, we protected investor capital, and that can't be said about a lot of other projects out there. I don't hold myself to the standard of other projects, so I never say, well, this project, look, when they hit a bump in the road, they got rugged. We didn't get rugged, because I'm not holding myself to the standard of other devs, right? A lot of other devs suck, so who cares what happened with them? I'm holding myself to the standard of excellence that I put on myself, and I believe that we were able to make major improvements to move towards that. So you know, this has not only allowed us to improve ourselves and our team and make adjustments in the way we develop. It's also got a lot of attention, and I believe it allows us to deploy Piggy Bank in an even more bullish scenario than the initial launch, like regardless of the bonders or not. So, because if we had had a type of bonding curve presale for Piggy Bank, I believe that would have been the better scenario. And now, functionally, that's what we have. So it's great.
Okay. Yeah, this Zor guy, seems like he just wants to fuck with you, but he keeps asking if there's any insurance protocols in place for investors' capital, and I don't know if you want to even address it or not.
No, yeah, that's fine. I am interested in
Yeah,
insurance protocols. Like I was saying, right? Insurance, lending, gaming, and privacy are the four value cases that I believe we can bring to not only DeFi but our protocols, right? And there is a way to allow uh, investors in DRIP to pay a premium either on their deposit or on the dividends they claim, which goes into a type of insurance fund. So if their wallet was hacked, they get some sort of payout, right?
yeah.
To make up for this hacked wallet. And this is something that I'm very interested in doing. Now, the hangups there are the customer service end of it, right? Fielding all of the people that think they were hacked, they might have been hacked, they
Yeah.
lost their wallet. So it's a major customer service type of headache. But if that can be automated, which I think it can, I'd be extremely excited about that. So yeah, that's not only insurance and drip. I'm interested in building a DeFi insurance model that can be used to insure Pancake Swap, Beefy, Animal Farm, all all projects that are legitimate and have a low enough risk model that it makes sense to insure them. I want to build a protocol that can do that. And I probably shouldn't even be talking about it right now because I'm just giving people cool ideas. But, that is something I'm interested in.
Yeah, especially with all the shit that's been going on lately, all the exploits and the hacks and
Yeah,
whatever the fuck is going
that's
on.
see that a model. So so that project that you're referring to had an absolutely 100% useless insurance model. It's an insurance model that doesn't back the capital on the contract. It's like,
Yeah.
what's the point of that? So, and it's not decentralized. It's meaningless, right? It's just a meaningless thing. So, there's no reason why there couldn't have been some sort of premium paid, uh, that goes towards trying to remedy the situation if the treasury was hacked. The issue with that is you need to have a competent dev, or you're gonna have your insurance treasury hacked as well. That's who's gonna pay insurance when that happens. So you need
Yeah.
competent devs for this kind of thing, but it can be done for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it's exciting times, man.
So next week's gonna be exciting for all of us.
Thursday. This Thursday. So
Thursday. Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. This thing's fucking Monday. Shit.
Yep.
I keep thinking today's last week.
So I have some big interviews coming up, right? I have a guy called Jake. I can't remember his last name. I could look at it, but he's a big YouTuber. He has like 40,000 subs. I have Juba Gems coming up. He has like 1.5 million subs. I have a handful. There's another YouTuber that it's just I'm pretty bad with names, but he has a lot. He has 100,000 subs. An interview coming up. I have an interview with 3D Crypto Mischief. So there's a lot of promotion that's coming up. We have DeFi calendar. We'll be putting up the new launch date. We'll get some ads up. So people that know me, and I've made this this kind of comparison before. I do think there is some value to the existing marketing structure with ads and stuff like that, but really, the value of marketing is not buying ads on shitcoin.com, right? People don't click ads; they don't click banner ads. Uh, and you get a little bit of exposure. If someone sees that your ads are all over Dex tools, all over a given place, that gives people a little bit of exposure, and it gives them, some assurance that all right, at least the devs are putting some effort into this. At least they're buying some marketing. At least they're trying. So there is some benefit to that kind of thing. But once you've already kind of proven that you're legit, you are putting the effort behind it, there's very little value in ads, but there's still some value there. So we will get ads up for sure. But I try to use the type of Tesla model, or the Elon Musk model, where you use the platform, the product, and the leaders in the system and the developer as the marketing itself, right? The pre-sale, the product, uh, the developer getting on various platforms and being a spokesperson for the protocol, right? The reason why people are buying Teslas are not because they're seeing, you know, ads for Teslas when they watch their morning news. It's because people are talking about how cool their Teslas are, and Elon's on Twitter, calling calling out Jeff Bezos, calling Jeff Bezos a weakling or whatever he's doing this week, or so this is way more effective, way more bang for your buck, and this is the model that I like to use, and I believe it's effective, and I think the numbers speak for themselves, right? We have a Telegram group with damn near 60,000 people in it, and it's extremely active. That didn't happen by accident. That didn't happen because we're posting ads up on shitcoin, right? We have a vision for this, and we're following our vision. And of course, some people recognize this vision. That's why they're investors. So I appreciate them.
Good shit, man. Got a lot of people watching right now too. Everybody wants to hear what you got to say.
Beautiful. And I'm gonna repost this whenever it's published. I'll repost it on Twitter and
Nice.
Telegram and all that. Yeah.
And you're welcome here whenever, dude. Like, even if you just want to come here and talk shit, and because sometimes we can be a little bit offensive, and you know how we are. Do you ever just want to come in here and talk shit secretly?
Yeah.
Come on in, dude.
I love it.
Welcome to come in here. Just
I love
BT.
Yeah, we got no filter in here, man. No filter.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
Sean,
love
we
it.
don't let black people.
You know we got love for Forex.
No, I mean, I love shooting the shit. I love coming on. I do know there's an element of responsibility where whenever I come on to any public platform, people expect something out of it. So
Yeah.
there's that level of responsibility there.
I got you.
And also, when I come on somewhere, I really like to come on and have something to say, right?
Yeah.
But trust me, if I wasn't like a public figure in the way I am, I would be way more active. I'd be way more into shooting the shit, hanging out. Like, you guys are all cool people that I would be hanging out with. Whatever.
You and I are gonna ride motorcycles together someday.
Oh, dude, for sure, for
You're
sure.
gonna have to meet me face to face. We'll go.
I might not take my helmet off. I might just have a mask on the whole time.
You know that the DJ protocol is getting a booth at PulseCon, and
I heard about it.
Family, you love coming around here. We are taking donations, trying to raise up $15,000 to help cover the full expense for the booth. If you would like to help, saying the link is in there.
I heard about it. I don't know.
Keep looking out, guys.
I don't know anything about the conference, but I just saw that you were doing something like that, and I think it's cool. I would like to do conferences as well. The issue is being anonymous and trying to do IRL events, and I do feel like there's at this point more benefit to being anonymous, especially if you're trying to bring forth a privacy model. And when it comes to regulation and dealing with regulation, there's a lot of benefit to being anonymous, and I plan to
help support us, and we can
maintain
grow
this.
ourselves for you. because
Yeah.
you're a big part of the DGen protocol. The drip is a big part of the DGen protocol. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about this.
That's what I was kind of getting to, right? As in, whether I can actually go to these events or not is one thing, but being able to support these events and supporting people in our community having these events, that's for sure something I'm definitely interested in, and maybe even showing up and just no one knowing who I am. I'm just another person walking around.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You just show up. Maybe you might tell me or Sheep, "Hey, dude, what's up?" And I'd recognize your voice and be like,
"Shook your hand." Like what? Like I shook your hand. Didn't even know it.
Yeah, you know, I recommend you keep your anonymity intact, Forex, because unfortunately we have haters that are so petty they attack the leaders of say a platform's sister's job or some shit like that.
Wow.
Really petty, just pathetic individuals.
Hey, Forex, so where can people find more information about your REAP DAO?
Okay, so if you go to the DRIP group, right, or the Animal Farm group, do /DAO, DAO, you'll get a series of links. Now, the REAP DAO is a private Telegram group that's associated with the REAP token, which is an ERC20 token. The current price is somewhere around $150, I think. You need to hold 300 of them to get access to the REAP DAO. Now, there's a 2% deflationary aspect to it. So 1% reflective rewards, 1% deflationary. So you need to buy enough to account for that 2% and still have 300 tokens. But when you have those tokens, you can then click the link that pops up when you do /DAO, and it will take you to a collab bot website where you can then connect your wallet, and the wallet or the collab bot will check on chain to see if you have those REAP tokens in your wallet. If you do, it will send you a link to the private Telegram group, and then as long as you have those tokens in your wallet, you will have access to this private Telegram group, which in turn gives you access to private pre-sale raises. Now, we did the BREAP raise in there. We did the DRIP raise in there. We did the Animal Farm raise in there. We have a massive Acquirify raise in there, which is a very big project that I'll be advising and raising capital for late this month, early next month. We have the Scratch Ticket model, which will be doing a raise in there. And there's 3 other projects that are under review right now for doing pre-sale raises in the DAO. Now, the lowest performing asset that we did a pre-sale raise for in the DAO did 40x, right? And that's not including dividends that you made off of it. We have other projects that we raised capital for the DAO that did like hundreds of x. So we've never had an unsuccessful raise in the DAO. Part of the reason for this is because I've been extremely limited, and we only did 3 raises all last year in the DAO, but that's because I'm very careful about who I lend my credibility to and who we raise capital for and give attention to. But before I ever launched my own token, and people that know me, have known me for a while, know I was doing this. And you can go to the Discord group and see all the history of all these raises. I was advising large project teams and handling their raises all the way back going like 6 years ago, like in the IPO days and then the early pre-sale days. So I advised and handled the private raise for Trust Swap, MahaDAO, Rio, Legacy, Black Dragons DAO Group, Block Cloud, XBTC. Like I can go on dozens and dozens of projects, some of them very big projects where we raised millions of dollars for them, and they were all, practically all, 99% of them all very successful, right? And we were never just outright scammed. So I have a very good history of this, and part of the reason why I was able to secure these big deals is because I used to work with a VC group as a paid administrator with a venture capitalist group that was big in traditional markets and was making a pivot into DeFi, and they needed someone that understood crypto and DeFi to help advise them. So I joined their administration board as a paid, as a paid. I don't know if you want to call it employee, but let's say a paid partner to help them secure deals and help them vet deals. Now I leverage this to get some deals of my own and to get a portion of those deals. When I started focusing on my own development, I didn't have time to be doing a paid partnership with this venture capitalist group. So I stepped down from that position, but I'm still very good friends with the owner of that VC group, and I still have network with all of the people in that space when it comes to securing like high end deals. So in the past month, bringing on additional developers and stepping back a little bit allowed me to reconnect with some of these people and really start to focus back on getting some of these really high end deals that are exclusive to our DAO. And people know one of the reasons why some of these pre-sale groups weren't doing well is because everybody had the same deals. The owners of those groups are upcharging people 20-30%, whatever the case is. And then they were basically like the puppy mill version of DeFi, right? Like just pump and dump machines. Uh, so that's why I wanted nothing to do with it, and that's why we've only had 3 raises in the past year in the REAP DAO, because I'm only willing to do quality. Now with the network I have and that I've established, we're getting exclusive deals for major companies that are really bringing value to the space, and it has to make sense from a, a, a marketing perspective. They have to have the team, the game theory, the logic of the token has to make sense. We have to get a good deal, and I have to be able to secure the deal to ensure that our capital is handled correctly. So all of these things are, take a lot of work, but and this is why I took a step back from doing it when I was developing. But bringing on additional developers, reconnecting with some of my networks, put us in a place where we can start securing these, really, really solid deals. So Acquirify is the deal that we just secured. We secured $1 million raise. This is in the seed and private round 1 of this raise. And Acquirify is a company, a DeFi company that will allow people to sell existing full crypto projects and DeFi projects in a marketplace. So, say you have a crypto domain, say you have a fully working bridge that is returning a profit, from fees or whatever, but you don't have the network, you don't have the community to really take it to the next level. You can then sell that bridge to either a development team or board of directors or just a investor that is tied into the space that can buy your whole platform off you with your existing community and the contracts and everything, and take it to the next level. And this marketplace, the way that it will operate is there's a token associated with it, and when someone lists, they have to pay a listing fee, and then they pay a successful sale fee. This fee goes directly to buying the token, essentially sharing the value of the sales with the holders of the token. And then what I'm extra bullish about is there will be advisors working for this platform, including me. I'll be working with them as an advisor, and broker to help broker deals with them. And what they'll be doing is taking, say, the top 5%, the top 3% of the projects that are for sale in their marketplace, and outright buying them. Acquirify will buy them, and then allow you to invest in them with the native currency, essentially having their native token act like a share for these companies. So I think it's a good idea. We know this idea works in traditional markets. I think there's a good argument for it being extremely successful in DeFi, and I'm handling their whole seed and private raise, right? So this is exclusive. You'll only be able to get it with us. The founder of this project is the founder of Paxful, which is like the number 1 or number 2 peer-to-peer Bitcoin exchange. So I mean, these guys are tied in. He sold 2 unicorn companies, which is a unicorn company is essentially a company. I believe it's a company that is able to be sold for $1 billion or $100 billion, some very high value. So he sold 2 unicorn companies. So these guys have the network connections to get it done, the lawyers, everything you need to run this. So this is a project that we secured. and we'll be doing a raise for it earlier in the month. We'll be doing the scratch ticket model, which we're developing right now. We'll be doing a pre-sale for that in the DAO group, exclusive to our DAO group. And there's several other projects that are in review right now that people in the DAO group are reviewing to determine whether we're going to do their raises or not. On top of this, we use the DAO group as a type of information share group where we're talking to each other about because I'm very careful what I say publicly and who I lend credibility to, and like we don't allow people to talk about other projects in our project groups, right? Or shill or do anything like that. The DAO is a place where people can talk about other investments they're interested in and share information about it with a group of essentially whales, because it costs like, $40,000, $45,000 to even buy enough REAP to get in. So these are people that are millionaires, that are tied in, that know what they're doing, and we're all in there sharing information with each other about what we're trading, all that. So that in itself has a lot of value as well. Now we're going to be doing after we get a couple of these third-party raises under our belt, I'll be doing a second tier to the DAO, because right now we have a few hundred members, and that's due to the price. Now, as I said, the allocations that we do per person are huge. So, like for the DRIP private pre-sale raise, the cap was like $30,000 or $40,000 per person, right? So we really, you're getting your bang for the buck when you get to the DAO. But we want to have a second tier that will allow people that have less money to still get access to these deals, but just smaller allocations. So, for example, say the REAP token, it costs $50,000 to buy enough REAP tokens to join the DAO, the tier 1 of the DAO. We'll have a tier 2 of the DAO where, say, you only pay $5,000, but this gives you access to the DAO now, and instead of the allocations being $30,000 per person allocation, it'll be a $3,000 per allocation. So it will scale like that. And this is how we're going to get a lot more people to join the DAO. We'll build a website for the DAO. That helps just secure deals as well and make people more interested in it. So I'm ready to take this down to the next level as well. That's something I'm extremely excited about. And that's something that is something that we can continue to make profits from without needing to like launch new tokens or anything like that. That's just, deal flow. And that'll be great. So if you're interested in the REAP DAO, go in Animal Farm or Drip Group /DAO. You'll get the links you need. And if you have 300 REAP, you get access to tier 1, which is exclusive. It will always be exclusive. It will always be limited to the amount of members in there just due to the price restrictions. And it's great. And then the way we'll handle the tier 2 is through the sale of NFTs. So we'll do a batch of, say, 1,000 NFTs. That way we can limit the amount of people that are in tier 2. That way it's still extremely exclusive. And the NFTs will be sold in DRIP, Dog, and Pigs. And this gives value to the Dog and Pig tokens, right? Because you'll be able to buy the NFTs with these tokens. And then each NFT will represent a spot in the DAO. And this not only provides a spot in the DAO where people can get value from that, since it's a limited batch of NFTs and there's demand for the DAO, people will then be able to flip those NFTs for profit as well. So the NFT in itself is an investment. So it's an all-around win for existing asset holders, for people that want to be part of the deals, for people that will buy the NFTs. For tier 1 members, it's a win because more people in the DAO means we'll be able to secure more deals, better deals, get more attention. The price of REAP will go up. So it's a win-win for everybody. Extremely excited about. And I would say, apart from that, the one thing that I haven't really touched on, which I think we should touch on, is probably the scratch ticket model. That's something that's just huge. But there's a couple things, right? There's the privacy thing too that I'm extremely excited about. But the privacy thing I'm not going to talk that much about because that's something that's like we're in the process of working on that, and that's big. But I don't want to give her any secrets on that. But yeah, we're working on creating EVM privacy, right? And I think it's important right now with Tornado Cash cucking, right? So you see Tornado Cash recently said that they're teaming up with Chainalysis and utilizing the Chainalysis Oracle to track their users through Tornado Cash to be compliant with U.S. sanctions and U.S. regulations, and they'll be blocking and tracking users who try to use their platform to get around U.S. regulation, taxes, and law. So that alone, in my opinion, is just it defeats the whole purpose of Tornado Cash.
Yeah, why would anyone use it?
Yeah. Now you could say that, well, there's some limitation to how much digging in chain analysis can do, and they only have the ability to block users on the front end of Tornado Cash that can interact directly with the contract. Yes, these are arguments, but if I'm investing or putting my capital into a privacy protocol, I want that to be a privacy protocol that is taking a principled stance to escalate and continue to innovate and fight against those users and those projects and products that are trying to de-anonymize their user base, not partner with them to assist them in de-anonymizing their user base on behalf of the US government, right? So and then the fact that they're using chain analysis Oracle to meet compliance for the US is an admission that chain analysis can de-anonymize their user, at least to some degree, which we already know to some degree they can, but it's just an outright admission that they can do it to some greater degree than maybe even we thought. So there's room there for someone to come in that will take a principled stance and really do it the right way. And I'm excited about the potential opportunities for that. I probably won't say much more than that, but it's I'm excited about that.
Morpheus looks like an old black woman at church. She's all, you're speaking his language now, and you're talking. Morpheus, you're muted.
Boy, good.
What? You're muted. What'd you say?
I was muted. Oh shit! I was like, that boy good. He know what he's talking about. That boy.
Yeah,
good.
I saw you like, oh.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. Privacy is important, man. Privacy. I mean, I'm anonymous deaf. I can tell you that even in high school, when Facebook was very popular, I've never had a Facebook. I've never had any social media with my name on it. I've never posted pictures of myself online under my name or anything like that. I've never been interested in it because I grew up in a family where we understood that the government is not your friend and they will use these platforms to try to hurt you and to try to, create mappings of your networks and of your friends and try to set you up and all these things. And I knew that as a kid. So when Facebook came out, I was already turned off to it. And then I remember seeing like a First 48 episode or something like that, where just they show the feds right on screen going on Facebook trying to look at who's connected to and all this stuff. But I didn't even need to see that.
Well, it's like I ain't never killing nobody if I'm on Facebook. Better stay off.
Not anything, man. If you want to be a free person and just have an opinion and not have to get canceled as a person, you need to be able to protect your privacy and protect the people around you. And when it comes to being canceled, I'm more so protecting my family than anything because I don't care what people have, as far as their opinion. I care about the work I do and their, all that. But anyways, I've been big about privacy for my whole life, and I think it's important. This is why I supported Pirate Chain. I helped Pirate Chain get off the ground. I helped them with networking. I helped them get different interviews with people and stuff like that. But there's limitations to these protocols that are not EVM compatible. You can't do smart contracts with them. There's extremely limited on-ramps as far as fiat on-ramps. So you have to use almost always centralized, KYC on-ramps to be able to get into them. They're tracking everybody who's getting in and out of them. And once you're into them, it's extremely limited what you can do because there's no smart contract interoperability. So there's major room here for someone who's going to create a EVM privacy protocol, be principled about it, and there are some major improvements that can be made to the Tornado Cash model anyways, which I wanted to do initially when I was developing DRIP. So Tornado Cash wasn't on BSC, and now they are on BSC, but at the time they weren't when I was developing DRIP. And I was really interested in forking Tornado Cash and improving on it because I know several ways it could be improved technically. And I did it because I was kind of going back and forth. Should I do DRIP? Should I do Tornado Cash fork? What should I do? And then I found out Tornado Cash was just a couple weeks from launching on BSC anyways. So I decided to go with DRIP, which I'm happy I did, because that really allowed me to grow the investor base. So now if we do something private, we could get the attention we need to become the number one, private protocol in the space. So, it's very exciting. Now, with the scratch tickets, right? This is something that I could say now. So I'm working with the micro pets developers and the chain link developers. So I had said earlier that I was going to do a lottery type of project, right? And a week or so went by, and the guy who did micropets reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, I had some idea of maybe doing some sort of model, kind of like a scratch ticket model." And I sat down, I talked with him, and we were able to really come up with something awesome, right? And I know, the scratch ticket idea, that was his idea, and it was a great idea. But I know, through us talking together, we really have taken it to the next level. And the so we already know that scratch tickets are a high demand product. People love scratch tickets. Scratch tickets have no problem selling out, right? Anywhere, ever. So the way that scratch tickets they do their model is they sell it in batches. So they'll do a batch of 1,000, a batch of 1,000. They have their own theming for this batch. It's the state that run them almost always. They're utilizing the sale of tickets plus tax money to fund it. And when they do a batch, they have a predefined number of jackpots, predefined number of second tier, third tier, fourth tier, fifth tier prizes. So they know they're going to sell this many tickets, there'll be this many prizes, this much capital will be distributed, this much capital will go to this, this, to this. And this is why they're able to be so sustainable and why they're able to run it like a true business, because you can map out the cash flows of everything before any of the products are sold, and the demand is there to sell out, so you can plan on that. Now, we can do the same kind of modeling in DeFi, but take it to the next level in a way DeFi only can, by allowing the tickets to be a investment in the protocol itself. So the way that we're doing that is having batches of tickets sold, limited batches of tickets sold, with NFTs. So each ticket is represented by an NFT. Now, you can interact with the NFT on our platform, which will be its own standalone platform, where the NFT itself is represented by a scratch ticket. And I've posted pictures of it before. We're on StreamYards right now, so I won't. But it looks literally just like a scratch ticket, like how you'd buy at the store. And then you can interact with that scratch ticket on the front end by using your mouse to digitally scratch the scratch ticket to see the results, to see the numbers, right? Which is fun. It's addictive. People love it. Now, when you call the scratch ticket function, it then sends a call to Chainlink's VRF service. Chainlink then gives a completely random number. This random number is put into a type of modular calculation, which ensures that the result of this equation will give a random number between a specific range, and then depending on the number and the range in which the number is, will determine the prize you get. And this is 100% trustless. It's verifiably random, but it allows us to do it random, meaning you don't know which ticket you got and you don't know which ticket will be a winner, but we can still predefine the number of winners, the jackpot, how many, tier 1, 2, 3 winners there will be, to just like the scratch ticket model, to ensure its sustainability and to ensure that it continues to grow and become more attractive over time. Now, what we're adding to this model, which takes it to the next level, is because we already know scratch tickets itself will sell out, but we could really take it to the next level with DeFi by taking a percentage of all capital that's used to buy the tickets. We're selling the tickets at BNB, will be used to pay out rewards in that round, right? Another percentage will go towards a vault or a treasury, whatever you want to call it, right? And this treasury pays out a percentage of its balance to the jackpot every batch, which means that the jackpot is increasing every batch, batch after batch. Every jackpot is increasing. Now, another percentage is going to buying the asset that's associated with whatever platform the tickets are sold on. So if you buy the tickets on the DRIP website, a percentage of all the B&B that goes to buy those tickets gets used to buy DRIP, and those DRIP are automatically sent to the DRIP tax vault. Now, if you buy the tickets on the Animal Farm site, a percentage of all that B&B used to buy the tickets on that site will be used to buy the dog and pig token and send those to a burn address. And we're not only going to have this as a product on our platforms, it will have its own standalone platform, and we'll sell it as a whitelisting service to any other developer that wants this awesome new use case that's going to provide excitement, that's going to provide a utility for their token, that's going to get users and attention, and just an awesome new model to their platform. Now, the great thing about this is it's a white label service, so that their tickets sold on their site will have their theming, right? But a percentage of all the capital used to buy the tickets on their platform will still be used to buy our native assets, right? DRIP, etc. So as it grows, as it gets bigger, it just adds more cash flows and a larger volume coming in to buy our native assets, right? And then I would say the thing really to put the cap on this, to really just make it beautiful and make it appeal to serious investors, is the fact that we're doing this through NFTs. So we've implemented a mechanic where, in order to claim your reward on the ticket, you need to burn that NFT, which means if you have a non-winning NFT, you can put that into a staking protocol where a percentage of all the BNB used to buy the tickets on all platforms gets sent to this staking protocol and paid out to those who are staking their non-winning NFTs. So the NFTs, when you stake it, represents a share ownership of the protocol itself, and you get paid out in BNB every time a ticket is sold relative to your share of the staking pool. And this is going to be extremely attractive because not only do we know the scratch ticket model works, but we can shop this out to a ton of different developer teams, and they'll all be generating BNB, which will be used to pay out people that stake these NFTs. And I believe that it'll be so attractive that even the people that win the low end prizes, especially early on, won't even be burning those NFTs to collect the prizes. They would rather take that NFT and put it in the staking protocol to get an early share ownership of the protocol, right? Of the platform. And it's just it's a way that we can not only create a secondary market and demand for these unwitting NFTs, because people could sell them on various NFT marketplaces, on a secondary market, because people can then buy those NFTs and stake them for share ownership of the platform. But also, it allows us to do, for example, the initial pre-sale raise, because the people that are investing in the initial pre-sale are not just buying scratch tickets. They're guaranteed a spot in the protocol when they buy these NFTs, right? It's an investment in the protocol itself with a chance to win the jackpot and a variety of other prizes, including winning essentially a ticket, like how you buy a $2 scratch ticket, you win $2, right? So the fact that it's fully trustless, we're not using these other protocols where they're using unverified contracts that are taking three values that can be reverse engineered to exploit, which almost all these other lottery protocols are using. Fact that we're using Chainlink's VRS service, the fact that you don't have to wait 24 hours or a week or 48 hours to see if you won or not, the fact that there's a multitude of prizes, the fact that you could buy a ticket, scratch it, see if you won or not, and go right back and buy another ticket, it makes it way more attractive, way more bullish than any of the existing lottery models or game models in crypto. And I'm super excited about it. And we're going to be doing a raise for it in the DAO in the coming months. So in this month we have the Piggy Bank. We have the Piggy Bank going live. We have the whole Animal Farm going live, and a lot of promotion around that. And I'm gonna be start bringing things on the table that we were working on before I had to hyper focus on piggy bank, such as fiat on-ramps with drip, this kind of thing. Responding to a lot of people that wanted partnerships that I haven't gotten back to. You saw Pancake Swap, right? Oh, very shortly after I said that the resell for a partnership, they made the Twitter post with the Pancake Swap buddy wearing the drip uh, tank top and all this stuff. They didn't do that by accident, or that wasn't a frivolous thing. Pancake Swap, when they make a post like that, they know it has major impacts and is going to get major attention. So they did that to gauge how the community feels about doing something like that. And go look at that post; it's super positive, right? Everybody's excited about it. So Chainlink initially reached out for a partnership for a drip, and I told them yes, we could implement Chainlink somehow, but there's a cost when you implement Chainlink. You have to pay to call the functions in Link. So I didn't want to just do it just to do it. If we do a partnership, I want it to be something that they can be excited about, that they will want to cross promote, and that really makes an impact. And that's where we came up with this lottery scheme. And they're super excited about it because we're using their VR service in a way that's never been done before. So Chainlink's super excited about it as well, and they're ready to co-promote us too. So, and on top of this, the Quarify marketplace, I'll be helping them and advising them. So part of that deal with helping them and advising them is we will be marketing our platforms, and specifically this white label scratch ticket protocol on their platform, right? We'll have a ton of exposure on there as well. So, man, there's just so much to look forward to and to be excited about. I just got off a call with Sads and BB. Tomorrow, we're going to do a complete dry run of the migration, right? We're going to do everything, deploying. We're going to do essentially launching the Piggy Bank contracts, the new Pig contracts, the new Pigpen contracts, doing all the crediting, doing the migration, doing just essentially a whole dry run, right? And just doing the whole thing from start to finish, just so there's no surprises. And we've been extensively testing every single thing, like isolating functions in Remix and just testing those functions, then the contracts as a whole, and then the protocol all interacting with each other. And tomorrow we're doing a complete dry run of everything all together. Not to test it because we've done the testing, but just for practice, just to do the whole thing and just So when on Thursday, it's going to be clockwork. So I've never been more bullish about our opportunities right now, our platforms, the networks I've made, our community. You guys, you're all. Yeah, I feel like you guys are just as supportive as you were on day one, maybe more so because we've been through it together, right? We've seen projects come and go, and we're still doing our thing. So, yeah.
And you've proven yourself. I mean, a year.
Yeah.
How many? The only thing I can say I've been in.
We got nothing but love for you, Forex.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I mean, like, there's nothing in DeFi have I ever been in that's lasted this long ever. I mean, the masternode things, but that's I've been in. That's not DeFi. DeFi doesn't last this long, dude, and you've managed to somehow do it.
And the beautiful thing about it is, a lot of the sustainability mechanisms in DRIP come in after year one, at the 365 mark. So, right. I mean, yeah, we're in a better place than ever.
Yeah, there you go. People are always asking, like,
you never got back to me that my question about the city of Atlantis thing, Forex. That doesn't have anything to do with you, right?
I have not developed that project. I'm not advising them or anything like that. But they are using DRIP as a form of reserve currency, and they do say that they have some pretty cool celebrity NFT deals that they're securing. And my thing with them was, all right, I'm not going to give a ton of attention and just give my reputation on the line for you guys. But if you guys can continue to secure these deals and things move along, I'm very happy to get on board with you guys. And it looks like they're making some good moves that I've been pretty happy about. So I need to, I I need to really link back up with them and talk about our options moving forward. But that's really going to come after Thursday. So I'm just hyper focused on getting this migration and Piggy Bank unpausing on Thursday. But then after that, it's all about reestablishing these networks that were on the table with DRIP and kind of got put on the sidelines, so I could just hyper focus on this. And Atlantis is one of them.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
Look at that Lake Tahoe. He's there, huh?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Trying to get a good view of it. There we go.
Yeah. Man, your dog must be having a blast right now.
Have you been to Lake Tahoe, Forex?
No, I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
think
One of the prettiest places I've ever seen in my life. That's one reason why I moved up this direction. Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fucking badass.
And this shot does it no justice. It is like,
oh wow,
like aqua
no, it's
color.
like it's straight fucking jaw dropping, dude. I've never seen anything.
Black Sheep. Hey, fuck Las Vegas, right? The hell with Las Vegas.
And that's Nevada.
I've been to two of the
That
Great
is fucking
Seas.
badass.
I've been to two of the Great Seas, and I've also driven across the country a couple times. So that's why I said I don't think so, because there's, a chance that when I was a kid I might have driven past it or something, but definitely not as an adult. And,
Right.
It looks beautiful.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I just got in. I'm trying to find out where I'm supposed to go here.
I'm gonna be
3.5
myself
miles.
first.
Cool. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, to hell with Las Vegas, right? Sheep, you can just stay there forever.
Yeah, right. Holy shit. No, this is really nice.
Summer home. You're breaking up real bad.
Dude. Hey, so the whole van life, RV life thing is super attractive to me, especially, as a trader and someone that can make money essentially anywhere. It is very attractive.
Yeah.
It's cool that you did that.
Yep.
Or you're doing it.
Well, this is all thanks to you, Forex Shark.
Hey, man.
I wouldn't be able to do this shit. What we do, man.
Well, you played a major role in it as well. Like, this is definitely a community project. A lot of projects like to say they're a community project after they get wrecked, and the dev doesn't want to pay marketing or something. They say it's a community project. But DRIP truly has been a community project, all the way from the fact that there's no dev fee to the fact that there's been a handful of team leaders that were in it from day one that really got it off the ground, and it truly is a community project.
Hell yeah, man. I love it.
Yeah, you do.
And hey, yeah. So I saw someone say sheep tickets, right? That's if when we get this model up and running, if you wanted to implement something like that on sheep or on your platform, we'd be happy to work with you, of course.
Cool.
Oh shit! Oh sheep! What scratch tickets?
Yeah, someone I saw
what are you talking
someone
about?
post that. Yeah, someone posted that. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's going to be a white label thing, and the great thing about the a white label type service like we're doing is the devs aren't going to have to pay anything up front, right? It's just essentially a cut of the B&B that comes in to buy tickets gets utilized to buy our native assets and things like that. But it's it's not risk free. There's always some risk, but it's very little risk because you're not paying up front. It's you see the model working, you can implement the model with your own theming.
Nice. Oh, you're white label. You're talking about letting other people use the code and shit, other projects, or is that what you're talking about?
Yes. So essentially, the way it will work is we can have their tickets for sale on our platform with their theming, and then utilize iframes or some other way to do it where the platform can be accessed on their site in a way where it doesn't even look like you're accessing some off-site thing. It's just you go to the site, tickets are for sale there with your theming, supporting your token, the whole thing, right? So it's when I say white label model, I mean when someone goes to your platform, they can't even tell that it's not just your 100% on you, your project, your theming, sold on your
Oh, nice.
platform. Yeah, and it's just in the contracts in the back end are doing various things that are revenue sharing and supporting our tokens and all that stuff,
Right.
which is our angle on it, of course. So
Sick.
yeah, it's exciting. It really is. It's one of the things I'm more excited about than anything.
Nice, man. Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, so someone's asking if when the UI is upgraded, will the white paper get upgraded? Yeah, we could do that. So there's definitely some improvement that can be made to the white paper. What I would say about that is I have someone that I pay to do the white paper, and I'm not pretty cool with having them pay for that to get upgraded. But there's also a lot of very creative people in our community, and if someone wants to make a new white paper and really have it be a top end one, I'll pay him for it. Just make it. Come, let me know about it, and if it's really quality, if it's a better white paper than what we currently have, I'll pay you.
Nice.
All right, words crossed. Get him on it.
Yeah. So that's the case with the existing white paper and all of our documentation. The guy that's done all of that, he did it, and he didn't even ask for money. He did it, and then I was like, "Hey, what's your address?" He gave me the address. I hit him with a few $1,000. Just like, he didn't expect it, but I would rather pay someone, even if they want to do it for free. I would rather pay them. That way, the next time they think, "Oh, should I do this or not?" They have that extra motivation. You got to pay for good work, even if they don't expect to be paid.
Yep. Good way to be. Any other questions out in the audience at all? Oh, what is this one here? When is the hacker game coming for us?
The hacker game is something that I've developed. So what I've been saying for day one about that is that I developed it with the intention that I would launch it on the ERC20 network. The ERC20 network became too expensive, so I ended up not doing all that and putting it on the sideline. And what my goal is to launch it on Solana's network, with an NFT protocol, right? Now, Solana said that they were going to be EVM compatible like 2 months ago. So the deal with that is essentially the contracts are finished, and I was waiting on Solana to be EVM compatible. Whether we'll still wait for that is up in the air because it looks like they're not making the kind of progress that they said they were making. There are some side chains that have offered to pay me millions of dollars and put millions of dollars worth of marketing if we launch this game on their side chain. So that's another option. So I'm essentially weighing my options in that sense. But as I said, gaming is one of the 4 major values and market fits that we can bring. And there are 2 games that I've either developed or 90% developed, or that I really want to develop. And one of them is not developed at all, other than I've worked out the logic and game theory to it, and I know it's a really, really quality game, but I haven't worked on the contracts at all. And then that's like a type of auto battler game. And then there's the hacker themed game, which the contracts are 90% done. The only part that isn't done is the NFTs aren't made. But the plan for that was to launch it on Solana, because when you have NFTs and you do NFTs through some front end game implementation, it's very easy to do cross chain. So the idea was launch it on Solana, have the majority of the transactions happening on Solana, but then have individual in-game assets or items that can only be bought on DRIP. And since it's calling the NFTs, which are handled on the server to determine how it interacts with the game, it's very, very easy to do cross chain. So so I would still love to do that. The issue is, when will Solana be EVM compatible, and do we want to wait for Solana, or should we go with some other side chain and maybe even work on a deal to get a couple $1 million worth of marketing for doing that? Because these side chains really want solid developers and they're willing to pay for that, or potentially even do it on BSC. Now, the reason why I didn't want to do it on BSC is because BSC didn't have the kind of NFT marketplace and infrastructure, but that's starting to change, and it's starting to grow, and I'm getting more bullish about. I'm kind of getting more bullish about NFTs on BSC. Thing is, NFTs as a whole, I hate all of these celebrity NFT things, right?
Oh God, me too.
They're garbage, right? They're just trash, dumpster fire. But there are some use cases for NFTs, like what I've explained, right, with like the scratch ticket model or in-game assets, this kind of thing, where there is true value, and they could really, I mean, the best way to implement them is with NFTs, and I think the future for this kind of NFT model is super bullish, and BSC has become more and more of an attractive place to do that kind of thing. Whereas like a year ago, I wasn't interested in doing NFTs at all on BSC, and that's why I was saying I was waiting for Solana to be EVM compatible. Which we're still waiting a year later, which is why I'm starting to think maybe we need to think about something else.
Forex, we have a thing around here, this feud between Mustangs and Corvettes, so everybody wants to know, Mustangs or Corvettes, Forex?
Okay, so I love the LS engine, right? So here's the thing. I would say if we're talking about current cars, Corvette all the way. Like new model cars, Corvette all the way. But if we're talking about 90s, like early 90s, you gotta love the 5.0 Fox bodies, right?
The Fox bodies I do like, and I like the 60s, like
nobody will let me suck their dicks.
So I love the I love the LS engine, right? Which is, it started off as a truck engine, but then got used in Corvette and Monte Carlos and what's it called? The other Chevy. But anyways, yeah, I love the LS engine. I love Corvettes. I would say definitely if I was to buy a new Mustang versus new Corvette all the way. The new Corvettes are sick. I would love one. But like if we're talking about like 90s, it would be like the 5.0 Mustang Fox body. And then my first car was almost a Stingray. So
wow.
Yeah, a white Corvette convertible Stingray. So the reason why I didn't buy it is because the person didn't take me serious, because I was like 16 years old or something. So so the guy was my uncle's friend. He pulls up. He was talking about selling his Corvette. I was like, I want to buy that Corvette. I was like, I think I was just turning 16 or 16 and a half, and I was looking for my first car. And I told him I wanted to buy the Corvette, and he laughed at me. And then I asked my cousins and my uncles and stuff, and the guy just wasn't taking me serious. So I ended up buying a Trans Am, which was a fun car, a very fun car, and I had a lot of fun in that. But I think the Corvette probably would have been better, but yeah, the guy didn't take me serious. It's like he's used to, I don't know, like I was making money when I was young. I've been making money my whole life, so I paid cash for my Trans Am. I would pay cash for that Corvette, but the guy didn't take me serious. So.
Right.
His loss, but
see,
yeah,
guys, that means Forex is not a cocksucker in our world. In Mustang guys are cocksuckers. That's basically what we were asking. He's a man, everybody. You heard it. Or Mustangs don't count.
Like I love street racing. I love cars. I've had so many cars. I've crashed so many cars. I love street bikes. I have dirt bikes. I've been riding dirt bikes since I was 12. I've been riding street bikes since I was old enough to ride street bikes, taking on my parents' street bikes and stuff. So I love that whole scene. But like I've been involved in some I've been involved in some street races where they just outlaw fox bodies because like if you let fox bodies come into a street race, it's almost always you're going to have like the top, if it's a bracket type of thing, it's going to be fox bodies every time. Fox bodies. It's always going to be fox body with fox body at the end. No, they're just sick. They're tough. They're light. They're they're just great cars for street racing and for drag racing. So I mean, I would get a fox body for sure. But right now, what I'm looking at for cars, right, is I love GTRs, right? So I would get
I've been looking at those.
Yeah, and I had an Infinity. So I had an Infinity M56, which is kind of like Infinity's it's not as cool as a GTR, but it's like Infinity.
Yeah, I know which one it is.
Yeah. So Infinity is like the Lexus version of a Toyota. So it's like, and then of course Infinity is the nicer version of a Nissan, and then the M56 was like their fastest car, right? So I guess it's kind of like Infinity's version of a GTR, but you can't even compare it to a GTR. But anyways, just having that M56 and loving the M56, it was a great car, makes me really attractive to owning another Nissan because it's essentially a Nissan. Yeah. And the GTR is sick, right? All-wheel drive. It comes twin turbo. Their transmission is just like next level, and you could put a tune or just bolt on bigger turbos and be pushing 800 horsepower.
Oh, easy.
Yeah. So yeah, easy. So so I love the GTR. I love so I'm kind of standoffish about Lambos, and I've always been standoffish about Lambos because I feel like it's just like the stereotypical crypto millionaire car to buy.
Right.
But the all-wheel drive Lambo Huracan, or Huracan, however you want to call it, is sick, right? It's just that car, because a lot of times Lambo, you're like, it's a lot of these higher-end cars, you're paying for the name, you're paying for the brand. But I would say, like, the one Lambo where you're not paying for the brand and you're really getting your bang for your buck is that all-wheel drive Huracan.
Yeah, and I can't fit in one because I'm 6'4", 220. Like when we all rented supercars in Vegas, I got the Porsche, which I want the GT3 RS after driving one. Makes my Corvette look like freaking child's play. Holy shit! I've already been looking at them, dude. $300,000 to $400,000 used. I went to the dealership. They were like 4-year wait because you've never owned a Porsche. You probably would never actually get one.
See, this is why I don't like Ferraris, because Ferraris, they make you first buy a couple of used Ferraris, and then they make you come in and buy a Ferrari that no one wants, like the Spider or whatever, and then own that, and then like maybe like a decade from now, you can be part of a lottery to get a chance to win a car. And I just don't like that whole model where it's like, you should feel lucky to own. It's like, no, I have the money. Let me buy the car. Make the car. Let me buy the car. And I don't like that model.
I was looking at the Audi R8s too, because the Audi R8s are the same chassis, motor, everything as that Lambo all-wheel drive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But for a taller guy like me, it has a bigger opening, and it has like 2 inches or whatever more of headspace. Yeah, which would be just enough, because I've been going around, like I'm trying to pick which supercar I want to buy. Yeah, and so I've been going through, but with my size, I have to like sit in it and make sure I fit before I just go buy it.
Yeah, so the R8 is pretty cool, and it does have a lot of the same drivetrain as the Huracan. The difference is the Huracan is like, well, I don't know, 800 or 1,000 pounds lighter, and and also has, it's just tuned up different. But but the R8s are sick for sure. And then Vipers, right? I've always loved Vipers. And the ACR, I think 2017. So I know 2017 is the last year they made the ACR, which is American Racing Company. And that car to date has at top speed has the most downforce out of any other car in the world, and it's like 2,200 or 2,400 pounds of downforce when you're driving at top speed, which is insane. And that's the reason why in 2017 they won the Nuremberg track record, whereas people always looked at Vipers as a kind of a wild card, right? Big engine, can't stay on the road, no traction.
Yeah,
But the 2017 ACR model, because of the aerodynamics and the changes they made, I mean, it's a track monster. It beat the Porsche of that year. So I love the ACR. I love Vipers. Whatever I get, I'm gonna really do it up, soup it up to the next level. Turbos and the whole thing. So Calvo Motorsports makes Vipers. They make the aftermarket Vipers, like they specialize in Vipers. There's one right now that has a bunch of the top speed and quarter mile records, and it's like something like 3,800 horsepower or something. It's
so
it's
crazy.
but
they're different cars. Like
yeah.
the last generation versus the first generation. First generation was like they were like death traps, dude.
Yeah. Well, you know what it was? It was the CEO of Dodge, his take on the Shelby Cobra.
Yeah,
So
I heard that.
yeah, so he wanted to make his kind of version of the Shelby Cobra, which is like a light muscle car. So it has a ton of power, very light, but no traction and no handling.
Not much comfort, not much.
Yeah.
The original
Mhm.
the original Vipers didn't even have windows.
Yeah, I know.
You know
yeah.
that?
Yeah, they just had these like plastic vinyl.
These goofy things you put on just to keep like just as bare as possible.
Yeah, it's sick. That's why I've always liked Vipers though, because it's just like absolute power and everything, function over form, and I love that. And I remember when I was trying to find my first car. Like I love cars, so buying my first car was a big deal. So I was online looking at all these different cars, and I remember I saw a Dodge Viper for like $13,000 or something. And of course, this must have been some scam or whatever the case is. But when I saw that when I was like 16, I was like, oh, maybe I can get a Viper. And I've just always wanted a Viper. So I would love to get a Viper as well. Those are the three cars, right? The Lambo Huracan, the Viper ACR, or a GTR, right?
Yeah.
And then I think the Tesla Plaid is like the ultimate daily driver, right? So
yeah,
I would
Mad
get.
Dog has one of those. He has the what is it, Model X, I believe, that like SUV one.
Yeah. So I think Tesla, you're limited into the amount that you can customize it and all that, which is why I wouldn't want it to be like my supercar, my race car, whatever. But just for like a daily driver, just something that you buy and it does everything you want it to do, like better than any other car. It's the Tesla.
What about the Koenigsegg's? What do you think about those? Those are dope.
Oh yeah, they're cool, obviously, but they're like whatever, $5 million,
$2 million, $3 million cars.
I don't think they're worth the money. I think they're cool, obviously. I mean, they're like a modern marvel in engineering, but you know they're not worth the money. But they're obviously cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I kind of stayed away from getting fast cars because I had my street bikes. So when I was like, I had a lifted Jeep, I had a lifted Ford F-250. I've that's kind of where I focused on, because I can go as fast as I want on my street bike, and being able to do off-road stuff, and like I love to fish. I love to go out in the state forest, like with my buddies, and the power lines, and the dunes and stuff, ride, and then pull up to a lake like that no one else can get to because you got four-wheel drive, do some fishing. Like I love that. So I would also love to get a diesel Toyota Tacoma, like the mid 90s diesel Toyota Tacomas. They're like the most durable truck you could ever have. Like they're just the best trucks ever.
Tough as hell they are.
Yeah, so I would love to get one of those as well. Like lift it, keep it basically stock, but just a small lift kit, some mud tires, maybe a tune on it or something, exhaust, whatever. But
Rhino has like late 90s, early 2000s Toyota that he loves, dude. It's not a diesel, it's a gas, but he has a brand new badass Colorado that he bought like one of the really nice ones. He doesn't barely ever drive that. He's got all of these badass, I don't want to say badass, but they're nice old Beamers. Kind of gay. But he drives that freaking Toyota like all over. He just looks like some homeless bum, but little does everyone know he's a millionaire just driving around because that thing's a beast.
Yeah, that's fine, man. I never cared like what people think. Well, when I was as far as like how I look, but I had a Porsche 996. You brought up Porsche when I was younger. I bought a Porsche 996, which is was fun. I mean, it was fun as hell to whip around and stuff. It's not like the top of the line Porsche, but I was also in my early 20s, so it was very cool for me. T-tops and stuff. So
yeah.
I've had so many cars. Like I could probably list, I don't know, more than a dozen cars that I've owned. And if you want to count like street bikes and dirt bikes and stuff, probably 2 dozen. Because I just I had a supercharged what was it called? A Grand Prix, a supercharged Grand Prix. I've had so many cars, man.
Yeah.
Love cars.
That's my thing, dude. I have a thing for cars and motorcycles. Like we've had conversations, dude. I got 8 motorcycles currently.
Wow. Yeah, I got 2. I got 2 motorcycles, a quad, and a dirt bike right now. Yeah. I got a CBR. I got a Honda 600 CBR. I have a Yamaha R1. I have a Grizzly 660, and I have a YZF 450.
I have a 450 and a 250. Those are my dirt bike ones.
Yeah, of course. My first dirt bike was a Honda, not the 2-stroke, XR 200. Yeah, Honda XR 200 was my first bike that I got when I was like 12 years old. So it was too big for me, but I grew into it.
It's a big bike for a kid.
Yeah, but kids grow up fast and you get used to it fast. I'm happy that they got me something a little overpowered than underpowered for sure. That's what I told my buddy when he was buying something for his kid. I was like, just go overpowered. He'll grow into it.
Right.
As my first street bike was a R1, and well, if you don't count me riding my parents' street bikes and all that stuff, but I got an R1. Within like a couple months, I had already adjusted the sprockets, right? Down 1 in the front, up 2 in the back, or vice versa. And, to create more low end torque, but kind of lower the top speed a bit. So it was just a wheelie machine. Like it dropped down the top end from like, I don't know, 195 to 180 or something. But, who drives over 180, like on a regular basis. But
I used to.
Yeah, I have. I've been that fast, but it's something that you do maybe a couple times in your life. It's unless you're like going to.
Unless you're an idiot like I was.
Yeah, or you're specifically going to a track to race it for that reason. But my point is, if you're going to make a trade-off, you're way better off taking 15 miles an hour off your top end to get way more low end torque, which is what I did with my bike. So it's just a wheelie machine. Faster acceleration than any other R1, around.
Way faster.